Last week, a jury in Tampa awarded nearly $37 million in an asbestos suit. And these types of cases can be a little complicated because they usually involve injuries that resulted from exposure to asbestos decades earlier. Attorney Jim Higgins with the Higgins Firm recently stopped by to tell us what happened. All right, we've got Jim back in the studio with us today. Jim, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right, let's talk a little bit about this recent asbestos verdict. So tell us what happened here and why the case was so large.
Yeah, this was a $37 million verdict for a gentleman who had worked as a mechanic, had been around asbestos. A lot of times mechanics were around it in brakes and things like that, and got a $37 million verdict because he ended up contracting cancer, mesothelioma, and which is caused by asbestos. And recently this case was tried, and that's the verdict that came back. And I think the reason you see such a large verdict, and we see those in our asbestos cases occasionally, is because one, it is a horrible disease to have. I mean, it attacks your lungs, it attacks your heart, it's almost always fatal. And two, what comes out in these cases is the fact that when asbestos was around, 50s, 60s, 70s, that the companies knew it was a danger. And despite that, they continued to let these workers around it. They didn't warn them about it because they were too worried about it costing their bottom line. They put these profits over people. And so that's kind of a formula for a high verdict in these cases.
Right, absolutely. So what is your typical asbestos case like? What do you typically see?
Well, usually it's someone later in life that was around it when they were younger. They'll get a diagnosis from the doctor, and the doctor can usually pretty quickly say this is asbestos-related cancer.
Okay.
And there's a lot of the trades that were around it. We end up having a lot of people represent that were in the Navy, or a boilermaker, electricians, mechanics, like in this case, and roofers. I mean, asbestos was in a lot of common building materials, and like I said, these people had no idea what they were working around in 1960 or 1970.
Right. So for someone out there who thinks they have it, maybe they've been to the doctor and gotten a report like that, when should they contact your office? Right away?
Immediately. And that's so hard because you get this devastating news from your doctor. But Tennessee, unfortunately, like a lot of states, but Tennessee has a really short statute of limitations. And as soon as that doctor says, hey, you've got an asbestos-related cancer, your clock starts running. And, there's money there to help people and to help with the medical bills and to help with the family. But, so often people will call us after their time has passed and it's too late. So it's really important to call early. And it doesn't cost anything. And we don't mind talking to people and letting them know if they have a claim or they don't have a claim. We can usually narrow that down pretty quick.
Okay, so the sooner the better. Thanks for helping out a lot of people.
Thank you.
The Higgins Firm is serving Tennessee. Give them a call at 615-924-8500 or go to higginsfirm.com.